Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
And I can hear you very well. Good morning. How are you?
I'm quite fine, thank you.
I am
I'm sorry that we've had so many problems arranging for your access to this group chat function.
I'm so sorry for that. Is Zoom operated by Google or is independent from Google?
Oh, I think it's quite independent. It's a separate company altogether. Yeah.
Would you mind to raise the volume of your? I have a very low.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Yes, is that better?
Yes, much better. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I have trouble with the setting on here where it says automatically adjust microphone volume. It always seems to adjust it to be too quiet. So it's necessary for me to override it and then set the level myself.
Of course.
Sorry?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that I had one thought about this problem that we're experiencing, enabling your contact request. I thought it might be possible for you to send a contact request to me instead of me trying to send to you. That requires that you need to use this function in the Zoom management window called contacts.
Yeah, I can learn it. Yes, I can learn it and then do it. We can try this afternoon. Yes.
I could. I have only very limited time this morning. Unfortunately, I have a conflicting appointment, actually a dentist's appointment, which was booked more than 6 months ago. And today also is the beginning in our country of the requirement to show proof of vaccination before entering offices such as the dentist's office. So I expect some difficulty, and therefore I do have to leave earlier, only about 15 minutes into the meeting. So I won't be able to do.
Should not miss an appointment with the dentist. Absolutely not.
Yeah, well, in normal courses, in normal environment, I would just reschedule it. But it seems to be all these ordinary things seem to be much more difficult now during the pandemic.
Yes, of course, everything. Yeah, yes. Just a moment. Let me call my wife. Carla, would you mind please join me? I'm asking my wife to give me a hand, make sure that the connection is correct, because I see my image is kind of frozen in.
Yes, I don't see your
Dr.
image.
Page.
I see.
Dr. Page is my wife, Carla.
Hello, this is Carla. No, you don't see your
yes,
zero.
Something is wrong.
Yeah, and I know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to enable the video.
Yeah,
function.
we'll find it. We'll find it. Okay, here it is. Yeah, here they are. And also, Ruggero, let me change name. Hello, this is Carla. Hi.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
She's my best supporter and help.
Well, we are all trying to figure out. Let me just see here.
Want to change the name?
Yeah, I will. Here we are. Okay, just a moment. Okay. Okay.
Shall I type?
Yeah, type. Slow down, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Rename. We are all set.
Good morning.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Okay.
Hello, Professor Cruz.
Have
¿Qué
a good
tal?
day.
¿Cómo están?
Work.
Okay.
Bien.
So we're just getting started. I see we have another member today, Alan Ramirez seems to be here. Although, there he
Hello,
is.
everyone.
Hello.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, Helen.
Jesus, I don't know if we've discussed this directly before, but unfortunately, I do have to leave the meeting about 15 minutes from now. But I understand that the meeting can continue, even though I'm listed as host, provided that I enable you your ability to operate as co-host. So I've done that. Unfortunately, as my understanding that with the way that this is hosted on Zoom, because it's being hosted under my account at the moment, that means that it's necessary for me to start the meeting, but the meeting can continue afterwards. So I think that's what we have to do today. Unfortunately, I have a medical appointment or a doctor's appointment, dentist appointment in about half an hour from now. So I have to get ready and leave in about 15 minutes. Is that clear, Jesus?
Okay, yes, I can make that, but you put to me like a co-host in the meeting?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
then
Yes.
I can. And I think that it is better that somebody more be the chairman of the seminar, and not me, because I'm going to make one presentation. And then I think I don't know if Professor Santilli, can you make the chairman of this session?
Of course, anything I can do, I will be delighted, and thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, then okay, now are asking to, okay,
So I can begin. I have a couple more people to admit.
Yes, and in fact, I'm going to connect my another equipment, please. Yes.
Okay.
Then I'm going first to put out my microphone. And
Okay. Valerie Dufaglasov has joined the meeting. Hello, Valerie. And also Mariana Espinosa is also joined the meeting. When Jesus is back online, there were a couple of items that I would just address before the main meeting gets started. When I did send out an agenda last night, I'm not sure if everyone was able to see that or not. It was an email just updating the information about the seminar. And then the first part of that update included a short agenda.
Okay.
Getting used to this new technology. I must leave very quickly, but I did mention earlier that I sent an agenda and by email last night, and that agenda mentioned, I guess there were 4 things before the main presentation. Let me, while we're here, I can just share that, and then we can look at the agenda. So I presume that you can see the agenda there in my shared screen. The first item was that I was interested to know about the duration of the meetings. I mean, so far we have had only 1 hour meeting. I believe it was Dr. Santilli suggested that we make that 1.5. So I think that we should discuss that. Also, whether or not we should meet every week instead of every 2 weeks. And I'm just going to go through this very quickly because I do have to leave in a few minutes. Also, I wanted to make sure that we understand about the starting time for the meeting. It's confusing because we have participants in different time zones. And so I propose that we fix the time as being 1600 UTC, Greenwich Mean Time. And then that means that everyone has to adjust their time accordingly. So that means this is equivalent to 11 a.m. Mexico City time, but it's 12 p.m. for me, for example, and 6 p.m. in Poland. So if we fix it at that, I think it'll be clear for everyone in the future. Also, I wanted to emphasize that I did set up something called the group chat channel. That's a way for people to use Zoom when they're not connected in a live meeting. And we're still having some problems getting people connected to that. But I would be very happy to help anyone. And I'm just being reminded here that it's time for me to go. So we can work on that in the future. And then we have a number of proposals for presentations. One is from Dr. Santilli, which we've tentatively scheduled for October 6th. If that's all right with everyone, or if it's not, then, you know, to please let me know. Another participant who is not here today, but Gregis Guzman, sent me an email saying that he would like to make a presentation at some point in the future. And of course, I also would like to make a presentation at some point in the future. So we haven't fixed dates for that yet. I think Dr. Sobchak also mentioned that he had the possibility of making a presentation. And so I hope that you can discuss that or send me information. And I will now introduce the main speaker, who is Dr. Jesus Cruz Guzman, who is going to continue his presentation from our last seminar. And Dr. Santilli will act as moderator. So I'm very sorry that I have to leave, but I am definitely intend to review the recording when I get back later today. So I hope you have a very good meeting, and see you all again soon, in 2 weeks' time, I presume. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Page. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, then you say when we start with the presentation, or then I think this is your turn, Professor Santilli.
Thank you. But I understand that it's an informal meeting. We already know the title of your talk. I already indicated it's exciting. It's an exciting title. So, Professor Cruz, please proceed with your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to share my screen now. Put in the presentation. Okay. I suppose you are now you have now the presentation share. Okay, and I am going to put to the full screen mode. Okay, here is the title of the this idea. I only put notes for an axiomatic formulation of the interaction concept. This is because it is a work in progress. Then I have been working in this subject about, I think, 3 years. And with Professor Osiewicz, I had the opportunity to discuss some of these ideas. Then this is the subjects of this speech. Okay, I go to the next. Excuse me, here it is in Spanish because I didn't change, but here the idea is that I started with the idea of a category of types because I started with the approach of one abstract data types, and then with this I wanted to write the classical mechanics laws first, and then after I go ahead and then change the idea to the concept of interaction. Then this was the starting point. And the idea is to get one formalization of this idea without reference to another thing. Okay. Here, okay, this is the outline of this presentation. First, I make one introduction, and after I go to the category of interacting system. Okay, then I go here to introduction, and the first idea is that we establish the physical theories starting with the human experience on their natural environment. This is important for me because I think that the idea of some axiomatical theory at the end have to start based in the human experience. And then this is because I started with the theory of experimental measurements, excuse me. Then, okay, this is only one idea. And here I started after with one idea of Ernest Mach, that he says that when we establish the observation and the principal facts that we can obtain for this observation, then we start a process of deduction and formalization. Then this is one wide line for me. Then I think that we started with the empirical idea of measurement, and then after of this we can make abstractions and deduction and formalizations for this. Okay. And another line that I follow is the formalization of mechanics made by Newton. It is important because he started with some set of definitions that were the base of his theory. Then I think that it is important, and not only that, but if we see those definitions, one can find one word that is used in maybe all the definitions that add the word of measure. No? I think that this is an important fact, because the idea is that all the concepts that we use in one formal theory are at the end based in some kind of measure that we made, and then this is behind the definition. Okay, I go to the next. Here is another important definitions, and I only want to comment here that Newton not only made one definition of force, but he carefully made one definition of force, like one impressed force, and one detailed definition of centripetal force. Then I think that this is important because when we read many books that are discussing about the Newton work, I think that they are lost in this important differentiation that he made about all of this kind of force. I think that the force, for example, is one vector for after in the language of modern mathematics, force is vectors, and centripetal force is a b-vector. And then this made a big difference in those concepts. And finally, it is important, and this was one of the motivation of this work. Newton says that I do not define time, space, place, and motion has been well known to all. Then I think that this is an important starting point, because I think that we either started with one idea of time, space, place, and motion, and we only build one theory in these primitive concepts, but in my mind, those are not primitive concepts, but have to be derived concepts. Okay. Then this is some of the principal ideas. Another ideas that I was using for this presentation is the abstract data type. And here it starts with the definition of types through their attributes. Then it is important because if we define one abstract data types, we have to define their attributes, and the attributes are in fact the definition of that type. Then in this idea, I started with the definition of some attributes to the concept of interaction, and after I was looking about their properties. Then this is the principal idea here. Okay.
Professor Cruz?
Yes.
I apologize to interrupt you, but would you please indicate whether you will accept questions during your presentation, or you prefer questions at the end?
No. I accept, of course, questions when you like.
No, not only me, but also for all participants. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, this is the idea of type, and I was to the idea of measurement in the operational viewpoint. I am not going here to the actual ideas of operational viewpoint, that it is too much important in quantum mechanics, for example. I am only take this here like reference, and in fact I am using one idea of operational viewpoint for used by Franksen in one work of 1985. He says operational viewpoint whereby the meaning is ascribed to measurements in accordance with the manipulation or operations with a last in principle characterize the process of measurement. This is one important thing, because the idea is that when we made one measurement and then we describe this measurement with an operational viewpoint, then
Hello? I cannot hear you. Hello? Professor Cruz, I cannot hear you.
I don't hear him either.
It seems that this, so we participants are all okay, but Professor Cruz may have some problem at his own, maybe the power. I don't have his phone number, so I do not know what to do.
Oh, he's
And my
completely off. I don't see him at all now. He's completely off. It looks
Yeah,
like.
it's completely out, yes. We must have an interruption of transmission, but had to be, you know, a lightning or something, you know, the loss of power, but the computer should have memory, and, you know, shall have enough power reserve.
He's probably trying to get back on.
Perhaps, I'm sure he's trying. I'm sure he's aware of. How are you? It's unfortunate that Dr. Page had an appointment with a dentist that he had set up many months ago, and of course he could not possibly miss an appointment with a dentist because we all know what it means. So
very important.
Yeah, but so Dr. Page is trying, I'm sure you know, is trying very hard to set up a kind of more I don't want to use the word encoded, but you know, Zoom sessions in which we can speak freely, but without our voice being heard by the Chinese or the Chinese or the Russian or whatever, because Zoom is open to the entire world, as we know. So, but he's having difficulties, logistic difficulty in setting up this sessions.
Probably Chinese aren't interested yet in what we're doing. Maybe not. Who knows? Maybe the American spy network isn't more interested. Who knows?
But what we do is science. Science is intended for everybody. My view was no political or geographical boundary in my view.
Exactly.
We have no secret, you know, no military secret or whatever. No.
So you're going to talk at the next session in 2 weeks about some of your ideas, Dr. Santilli, Professor.
Yes, Ruggero is my name. Thank you. I've been asked to outline the mathematics that we had to develop to achieve a quantitative representation of the problem in which we are interested. Ultimately, I'm interested in energy, new clean energy. That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually looked at it a couple of years ago. I was very interested. So it'll be nice to get back to those ideas you have. They were interesting.
Yes, in my view, there have been fundamentally, there are some, I'm a strong believer of Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen argument that quantum mechanics is incomplete. But the primary reason for the lack of completion is in mathematics, in my view. Hilbert spaces are magnificent for the objective of quantum mechanics 1 century ago. The spectrum, the emission of hydrogen atom and particle and accelerator and many, many other systems. But nowadays we have to address more complex system, in my view. And when we're talking about nuclear energy, I respect, of course, the historical work that has been achieved by quantum mechanics in nuclear physics. But I don't think mankind should stop at that. And the reason being because that's essentially Einstein's point when he formulated his argument that quantum mechanics is strictly local. The wave function is defined at one point. Those are not my words. Wave function is defined at one point. The potential is decided at one point. The Laplacian, the differential calculus. So therefore, you cannot represent entanglement just to begin. But then you look at nuclear structure. I have a serious uneasiness in representing a nucleus as an ideal sphere, a bag with points in it. I cannot do that. And in any case, we have to be honest. Quantum mechanics has been unable to represent basic experimental data, nuclear data, the magnetic moment, beginning from the deuteron. we are on a missed 2 points. Then we go to the zirconium. The deviation is embarrassing. And the spin, we don't know. There is a century-old controversy on the spin 1 of the deuteron. So those insufficiencies are too big. And for people who work, in nuclear fusion, our lack of achievement in 75 years to control the nuclear fusion and the expenditure of $1 trillion of public funds, it is, in our view, our suspicion is that the origin of this lack of achievement is precisely on this basic insufficiency of quantum mechanics. But then you go to the mathematics necessary. You see, then the primary point is to represent proton and neutron as extended. Indeed, they are extended physically, and they are mutually partially one inside the other, because the nuclear volume, according to experimental data, nuclear volume is smaller than the sum of the volume of the nucleons. So they are partially one inside the other. So this revives a very old central question, which is namely, how do we represent how to introduce the distance in quantum mechanics? How do we represent particle as extended? It's not enough. And then what has to represent with the shape. But that's not enough. It has to be represented in an invariant time, in an invariant over time. Because if the shape of a proton and neutron changes over time, then we have no good physics. We have something curious, interesting, but not something. And so those are, in my view, those are fundamental, open mathematical problems. That's what I spend most of my time. Yes. That's the DOE when...
there is interesting experiments containing now with the biggest magnet, some local news about the biggest magnet in the world now can contain nuclear fusion, making big progress. Also recently they talked about creating 2 electrons from photons colliding with each other. Very interesting experiments doing in all kinds of areas now.
Yes, there is no doubt that the strong containment fields. Well, let me back up. There is no doubt that those tests, they do indeed initiate nuclear fusion. This is out of question. The problem is that the creation of the nuclear fusion creates the instability which are absolutely gigantic. So the problem is in the continuation of the fusion more than, and the more they continue the fusion, the more the, you see, first we have first we have to approach nuclei, we have an astronomical repulsive force. Easy to calculate, the Coulomb repulsive force between nuclei, because positively charged, is in the range of hundreds of newtons. Newtons are macroscopic unit. You do it for half a ton, so for 10 kilos. So you have this an astronomical repulsive force that requires enormous temperatures. So the approach that is done is out of the question. There is no other alternative based on quantum mechanics. Here is the key point. But then the problem is that you do calculations, and if you have a nuclear fusion parts per million, there is some chance of achieving controls. Yes, there is, but these are no industrial value of any type. No, zero for me. I mean, interesting as a foundation, yes, but doesn't produce energy that can be used industrially. So to produce energy, you have to have, the number of fusion becomes significant. Numbers becomes, we're talking about millions of fusion per second. It's easy to calculate that when you reach this industrial numbers, industrial value, energy of industrial value, then the confinement becomes absolutely, this is going on for 75 years. The confinement becomes technological engineering. We believe that the moment we complete quantum mechanics, then we have basically new idea. Let me flash you one, if I may. You see, the proton and electrons, nuclei and electron attract each other. As we know, it attracts also with an enormous Coulomb force. But quantum mechanics prevents that electrons can be bounded to nuclei even for an extremely small period of time. It is against the principle of the axiom. The axiom violates that. But however, if the quantum mechanics is completed, if we accept Einstein, Podolsky, Rosen, then we have shown years ago that indeed electrons can be bounded to nuclei, and in this way you create you synthesize nuclei that are negatively charged. You do this, then of course those nuclei are unstable. This is obvious. They are not tabulated. But this is not the point. The point is to have a mean life of those are called pseudonuclei, a mean life of sufficient duration to allow industrial application. And you do the calculation, you need a few microseconds, and we have up to a second more of a mean life. You do all the industrial application that you want. Once you have synthesized negatively charged nuclei, then what is the primary obstacle for the controlled fusion, which is the Coulomb barrier, you invert it, becomes a Coulomb attraction. And then the fusion is unavoidable. This is just to flash you one of many new, fundamentally new ideas that they come up naturally. The moment you abandon the idea that the quantum mechanics is the final description of elementary particles. My view is the final description of what atomic structure, it's a final description for any condition in which particles can be well represented as being point-like in vacuum. Under those conditions, there is nothing to add to quantum mechanics. I would not know what to say. Mechanics is perfect. But this does not describe, those are Einstein words. Those are not, you cannot describe with those conditions all elements of reality. An element of reality is precisely the proton and neutron in the nucleus, and is outside the capability. Anyhow, just to give you flash you an idea that, so back to the mathematics, without the mathematics, there is nothing we could, and if we don't have a quantitative representation verifiable with experiments, then we have nothing. Well, we have nothing of any significance. And but to be honest with you, I wish, of course, I wish all success to the experiment. And we are so desperate, society is in desperate need of new clean energy. A few weeks ago, it was raining in the top of the highest mountain in the North Pole. It was raining. It was raining. There was no snow. 5 years from now, climatic events are predicted to be devastating. Devastating. I know that
it's terrible.
no, so and what's the order? The origin is physics. You know, is lack of now. Sure, we have a nuclear power plant. However, the nuclear waste is stored by this kept not indicated to the public. Nuclear waste is stored by the nuclear power plants themselves. They've already reached the limit of storage a long time ago because we've been prohibited to store nuclear waste in the Yucca Mountain and to have the depository. We are prohibited, of course, thanks God, dump nuclear waste in the ocean. So how long can we keep going before the aberration with the nuclear power plant will cause the catastrophe for radiation? And then you can, so we need a nuclear source that is clean and industrially valuable. And we've tried for the 75 years and nothing has come out of it. So that's our view. While, of course, my God, please don't misunderstand me. It is imperative that those tests must be going on because we don't know the future. No, my only point, we cannot restrict, $1 trillion of investment is restricted only one way. We got to try them all. Everything which is plausible should be tried, and then reach a decision later. In my case, no, all our nuclear fusions are rejected because even patents have been rejected because they're not compatible with quantum mechanics. we complete quantum mechanics according to EPR argument. So, so the moment you continue to impose it is a kind of scientific block for a century. It's our 1 century of, not a century, but certainly for half a century. And so I don't know, I hope I entertain you. What do you think we can do? And what shall we do with Professor Cruz? I'm so sad to hear. Maybe he doesn't know that, no, we don't.
No, I think he knows. It's just, I guess it's a more serious problem. Maybe they lost the internet or who knows what happened.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. He's such a nice, such a magnificent scientist and a nice gentleman. I really like him.
Well, there's always problems with the internet. Just about anywhere you are, actually. But,
yeah. Yes, indeed. Any suggestion? I feel guilty, to do nothing, and we waited for a while. But any suggestion what we should do? I don't know. Does any of you has his phone number? Because we can try to call him.
Yeah, it looks like he's, I don't know it's hard to say what the problem is. Yeah. Mariana, are you in Mexico? Do you have any idea what the problem is?
No idea. It must be at his home, I think. And
oh, that's probably right. Yeah.
I don't know where he lives. But does anyone has his phone number?
That's what I was asking. I
might be able to. I have it probably on my on one of the emails that he was sending a lot of phone numbers and everything.
Yes.
If you find it, please give him a call. At least we know what is going on.
Okay, yeah, maybe I can try that. I can find it here.
He started the lecture very nicely, and
okay, yeah, maybe I'll try to do that. Let's see if I can find it here. Well, I don't see it yet. Okay, here will be one.
I think perhaps we should reschedule. Well, I'm sure he will. Professor Page will reschedule Professor Cruz.
Yes.
Yes, his talk was very, very, very interesting. Especially
I don't have any phone number here in any of the emails that he sent. I don't find any phone number.
I don't have any. And if I have to reach him with email, I have to disconnect the Zoom session.
Yeah, I'm still looking. There's so many different. I thought there was some number somewhere, but I haven't found it yet. But maybe that's right. Maybe we should just wait, then reschedule it or something like that.
I propose, there should be reschedule this lecture. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, we were discussing just a moment ago. We were discussing nuclear fusion alternative and so on, and we venture some new idea, out of the box. They are all based on an enlargement of the notion of interaction. So it's squarely related to what Professor Cruz is nicely presenting. A new type of interactions that are not derivable from a potential. They're called variational and non-self-adjoint. They're representable anything you want except the Hamiltonian. So they are outside the axiom and that's where the new math enters into the picture. And I was so exciting about, and I am excited about Professor Cruz the lecture, because he brings this notion of interaction towards, if I understood properly, I have yet to hear it, but if I understood him correctly, he goes into an axiomatic level of the notion of interaction. This is big because then this will implies a number of realizations. Some of them, of course, variational self-adjoints are potential interaction, but those are absolutely, they are not all interactions in nature, particularly in a nuclear structure, which just indicated the experimental data that the nuclear volume is smaller than the sum of the volume of the nucleons. This means nuclei are inside one another. You cannot those are zero range interaction. This is the EPR, the new EPR entanglement, in which you have instantaneous communication because they're zero range and they're not representable with, you have to exit quantum mechanics. It's EPR completion. You got to complete quantum mechanics one way or another. You have to exit from the class of equivalence of quantum mechanics, which is the class of unitary equivalence. You got to start with to make a non-unitary map, and then you start to see interesting things. At least that's what we play with. Let me clarify. But I confirm that axiomatization of the notion of interaction is enormous in my view, with enormous potential for real advancement. Yes, indeed.
Okay, I haven't been able to find it either, unfortunately. So I will write to him and let him reschedule the rest of his talk. I've been since
Professor Page had to leave. I've been asked to do the chair, so I feel very embarrassed. I don't want to interrupt and send him an email. Could you please send him an email also on my behalf? because I prefer to remain here in the event he solves this problem. If you could send him an email and
Okay.
on my behalf,
I can do that.
asking instruction. Please tell him that we. I'm sorry. Tell him the proposal is that, of course, he has to. His lecture should be rescheduled because it's very interesting lecture. And then ask him what to do now. Ask him whether he wants to continue now or.
Now, of course, if he doesn't have internet, he probably doesn't have email.
It's very possible, yes. If he hasn't got Zoom, he hasn't got no email, no internet.
Well, maybe we should adjourn and
do we have a unanimous decision to adjourn? I cannot take that decision alone. I'm sorry.
Yes.
okay, so
Is the decision unanimous?
okay.
Okay, very well. Then I can disconnect. The session and contact him directly by Zoom.
Okay, that's probably the best.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. I'll also send a message to Dr. Page. I was through with this. It is a dentist appointment.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was very interesting.
Very well. So everybody have a good,
Okay.
good
Goodbye.
day. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.